Hey guys, what's going on? So I recently stumbled upon this article from the American Psychological Association, which basically described the most common sources of stress here in the United States. Lo and behold, money is right up there, number 2 as the most common source of stress here in America, right behind people's view of the future of the country. What a surprise is that? So that leaves us the question, is saving money worth it? And before you automatically just see the video and say, yeah, of course saving money is worth it, I think we need to go over a few of the benefits and the drawbacks of saving money when you're young. Think about a teenager or someone in their early 20s and kind of try to at least delve a little bit deeper into what's best for you particularly. It's more complicated than it seems, and it's something that I grapple with back and forth and kind of change my mindset because I'm a young person too, despite the ever-darkening bags under my eyes. I am young, I promise. So I want to get right into this question, but before I do, make sure if you enjoy the video to leave a dislike and unsubscribe. That's not right. So I want to start off by kind of clarifying what I mean when I say saving. Really, all I'm saying when I say saving is money that you're not using now. This could mean money that you have in savings accounts or any types of banks, investments, real estate, if that applies to you at a young age, or really any cash that you hide under the mattress as well, which if you're doing that, stop. It's kind of weird. Okay, so we have the idea of savings established, but we're still left with the question of should you be doing a lot of saving when you're young? Now, believe it or not, there's not a right or wrong answer to this question. But what we can do is we can find the right or wrong answer for you according to what your values are and what your goals are. So I don't really have the perfect answer, but we're going to go through this through a pros and cons list like any good way to find a solution to a problem. Bust out the whiteboard. Okay. Oh, geez, I suck at spelling. Well, not spelling. I write like a baby. Pro number 1 of saving is going to be hopefully more wealth in the future, right? So the hope is if you're saving your money over time and possibly or hopefully investing that money, it will increase in value over time. This could be 7% compounding per year or a couple percent if you're doing bonds or something of that sort. Whatever it is, the ideal is that you will have more money than you would have made from just your job or your position and your salary that you make over time. Good pro. Everyone likes more money. That makes sense, right? Some of these might be obvious, but I have a point here. Just let me get through it. Okay, so now the number 2 pro of saving is going to be financial freedom. So this is basically the idea that you have the ability or you have the option to spend money if you wanted to, right? So this could be the financial freedom to pay for your kids' college, to financial freedom to donate to charities that you care for, or just spend the money on things if you really wanted to. You have the freedom to do a vast variety of different things, which you can't do if you don't have any saved money. This is, again, obvious, but it's a pro of saving. So the number 3 pro is going to be that you have the ability to be ready for the unexpected. This goes hand in hand with financial freedom, but it's the idea that, hey, your car breaks down, someone is injured badly, and you don't have great insurance. You're ready for that. It goes hand in hand along with having an emergency fund as well, and it's very important to have an emergency fund if you don't. So this kind of savings can be very crucial. Okay, so this might be obvious, but those are some of the main pros of saving some money. Summarized, you have more money. Okay, but let's move on to some of the actual cons of saving that a lot of times you won't hear online, but they do exist, and I think they are valuable to remember. Okay, first one's still kind of obvious. First con is that you can't spend as much money now. Okay, so if you want something immediately and you're saving most of your money, it's hard to buy that thing unless you save up over time, which I would recommend is a good way to make purchases, but it's not right for everybody. And having less money now can be a hindrance on some people's lives. It's important to remember we have this kind of flex culture and a society really based around money, and money kind of shows that you're superior almost. It's messed up. I understand that, but there's no denying that that's kind of in common culture here, that you see rap and the rappers are spending money, or a lot of other things. If you see a nice car, you assume that they're rich. But in reality, a lot of the people that are saving money don't have all these things because they're saying, oh, is that Lamborghini really worth my money? Probably not. I could save that for something else. This isn't always the case. Some people are just really rich, but this is the case probably a vast majority of the time, and we don't even realize this. So you are sacrificing that, whatever you want to call it, social status or whatever of spending the money. You're sacrificing something there, and you have to acknowledge that, or else you'll be disappointed when you realize that it's happening. Con number 2 of saving money is gonna be that it also takes a lot of time and diligence. You have to stay consistent with it if you're actually going to save a lot of money or automate it or something along those lines. And this can be hard because you have to figure out how to do these things, and you have to know where you're saving or investing your money. It just takes time, right? I'm a business student in college, and then I'll have to study even after that. And I don't know everything about finances. So it takes a long time to be completely well-read and fluent in the world of financial data and what is best for your investments. That's tough. And if you're trying to do a very actively managed investment portfolio or something, which is way harder than savings, it's going to take a lot of time. So if it's not your passion, this can be another sacrifice that you have to make. Okay, so this number 3 con of saving, I actually believe is probably the biggest one of saving all your money, and that's the risk that you can actually become overly frugal. So think about a scenario in which you have a family or friends or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the case is, and they want to go out to eat or spend time with you or do something that requires a small investment of money, right? If you're going out to eat, you have to pay for food. If you're going to a movie, you have to pay for the movie. The list can go on here. But imagine they want to do this thing and you're so hell-bent on saving that you're constantly rejecting them. This can definitely cause a stress in your personal relationships. And it's not often talked about when saving because hopefully you can find a way past this, but it's a very real thing that you have to monitor because you can start neglecting those around you and they'll eventually leave. If you never want to do something with your friends, they probably will stop talking to you. This is a real thing that you don't hear about a ton. But yeah, you have to make sure you're kind of maintaining those relationships like you're tending to a garden. And sometimes that means you're spending money. Now definitely, I am all for trying to find alternatives. If someone wants to go out to eat, you can say, oh, how about we cook it home? How about I make this? If you want to see a movie, oh, how about I rent this one and it's way cheaper? You can find alternatives. I'm just saying that you definitely need to monitor these things before you lose the people that are important to you in your life, because that will be much more devastating to you than not saving a few $100 in your teens. Just something to remember. I also think it's important to remember that the relationships you have with your family, friends, loved ones when you're young are super important to you. They help you learn communication skills. They help you build experiences that you can refer back to in the future, and you can say, oh, I either did something really wrong, really right in that time. And this sounds obvious, but everything you do in life is kind of a learning experience. So if you're getting and spending a lot of time with your friends now, this could be a networking opportunity in the future for you. This could be a possibility that you're gaining your social skills and learning how to talk to people better. Now, obviously, don't hang out with your friends because of this. You hang out with your friends because you care about them and it's fun, right? But you can look at it through this lens, and those things are important to you. That's an investment in yourself, right? And that might be more important than saving that $10 in the future. Now, keep in mind, there's another side of the spectrum to this. You can be not overly frugal, but spend way too much, or have someone who spends way too much. And those things need to be kept in check too. But I do want to mention the risk of being overly frugal because I've fallen into this category as well before. And it's something important to remember when you are on the page of trying to start saving. Remember that there's a balance there. Now, the final con I'm going to talk about is the fact that some people can't save money. If you're not making much and you have a lot of expenses, if your salary, I guess you could say, meets your expenses, there's no room for saving there. And this is a larger problem, obviously, and it's one that's a lot harder to solve. That's where more money and making more, maybe going to college or going to a trade school or something, is really valuable. Because if you're making 10 grand a year and spending 10 grand a year just for your expenses, making an additional 10 or 20 grand is going to increase your happiness because it increases your ability to just live and buy your necessities. That's a big deal. This kind of thing has been studied a lot, but if you make, say, $100,000 and then you make 10 or 20 more grand, 10 or 20 more $1,000 per year, it's not going to have as large or as vital of an impact on your life as it would if you were already living under the poverty level. So this is something important to remember. Obviously, it's tough because we can't control how much we make all the time. This video isn't really about finding the answer to poverty. I can't answer that for you. here today, but that's another con of saving. If you can't do it, it's just like this idea, this concept to you. So I think the reality is that for most people, and I'm saying most for a definite reason, for most people, there is a portion of their income that they are able to save if they so choose to or so chose to. And a lot of times it's just the fact that they end up saving it because they don't have a solidified plan in place. So that's something I want to mention. If you don't have any money to save, obviously it's hard to save, and that's a con, right? So where are we at? There's pros, cons. I probably listed more cons, even though that's not even how I feel. But I think we're going to revert back to something that I probably say a lot on this channel, and that's that there isn't a right or wrong answer, but what you can really do is find a balance somewhere in between. For most of us, the majority of people out there should find a balance because that's where they'll be most happy. Now, a balance doesn't mean that you fall right in the center of, okay, this is save a lot of money, this is save no money. I want to fall right here. For some people, that is the case, but for some, if saving is important to you, you might fall closer to the save a lot of money side of the spectrum. And if saving really isn't that important to you and you're just trying to live, you're trying to really develop all your skills and gain a ton of experiences, you might be closer on this side. Now, I realize that a lot of this stuff is pretty obvious. Not all of it, but a lot of it's pretty obvious. But what I've learned over my years, at least in my experience, is that if we aren't constantly monitoring what our values are and what our goals are with our savings, it's really easy to lose track of what the goal is. That's super far in sight if you're thinking about retirement or something else. So the reality is saving every penny of what you make might make you miss out on some really valuable experiences in life that you'll always regret in the future, while spending all your money might make you homeless. So you need to find a balance. I think that's obvious, but it's something very important to mention because sometimes I think as humans we want to shift to one side of the scale. We want to spend a lot of money, really experience life, and not leave much for the future, while sometimes we feel like saving all of our money and not doing anything with it and just sitting on it. And eventually these two sides of the coin will eventually balance out, and you will find a middle just based off of your two shifting stances. But I think it's actually more effective to look at your goals, look at your values and what you plan on doing in the future, and then trying to live in that balanced area that you set for yourself. I hope this did help you guys out. That's about it. Some of it might have been obvious, some of it might have not been, but I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!